safe plate. And I'm gonna spray this with some cooking spray, sugar, flour, eggs, butter, and almond extract. My husband said the audio on my videos was bad, so he gave me this. What? Don't hold it. I should put it. He's saying I should put it down. Feels so natural though. All right. Okay. I mean, whatever. He's the sound guy. Okay. We are gonna make caramels, okay? We're gonna make these in the microwave. I have made caramel on the stove, stirring, stirring, stirring. Oh, 2 seconds too long, it's burned. Oh, 2 seconds too short, it like is a big blob and it's not like solid or whatever. It's a nightmare. Some genius, again, some great person on the internet who I don't know because I look at so many recipes, figured this out, and it's genius. It takes 7 minutes in the microwave. 7 minutes, okay? Half a cup of melted butter, which I've already melted. Half a cup of brown sugar. I use dark because, as I may have already explained, I use dark for everything. Half a cup of corn syrup, light colored, not light as in low calorie, but light colored corn syrup, and sweetened condensed milk. Half cup, half cup, half cup, half cup. Done. Then you're going to need a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla. Yeah, that's it. So it's kind of a fast moving recipe. I always like to have all my stuff out and ready anyway, but it's fast moving, so you kind of want to have everything like ready to go. You want a kind of a big bowl because it bubbles, and you don't want it to like bubble up and bubble over, so kind of a big bowl. I'm actually going to do kind of 2, not 4, 2 things today, since we're making the caramel, which I'm going to show you a really cute way to wrap it up later. But I'm also going to make some like turtles because it's not that much more effort because I'm already going through all the effort of making these caramels that are going to take like 7 minutes. So you melt your butter, then you add your half a cup of super healthy corn syrup to the melted butter. Okay, then you're going to add oops, I need that. Good thing my sink is clean. Half a cup of sweetened condensed milk. Now, at Thanksgiving time, I found this maple flavored. Prior to Thanksgiving, I'd always just use regular. It's totally delicious, but I had this still from leftovers, so I'm going to use it. Half a cup of this deliciousness right here. Don't know what I'll find something fun to do with that later. Add this to your mixture. And then we're going to add a half a cup. Oops, there's a lot left in there. Look at all that. A half a cup of, what did I say? Brown sugar. Got a clean one. Always thinking, always thinking. Packed, of course, always packed brown sugar. Boom. Oh, splattered. So we're going to mix this all up. Like kind of, get the brown sugar kind of mixed in there, okay? Mix it all up, get your lumps out. So an annoying thing happens when you're making caramel, and that is that, well, again, it's a science-y thing, so I don't really understand it. I can just tell you from having it having had happened to me before. If sugar crystals, I don't know, something about sugar crystals, like if they get up on on the edges of the thing and then they get back into your mixture at some point in the cooking process, it crystallizes your caramel and it cannot be saved. And you don't want to eat it. Truthfully, it's not good. So some would say a wet paper towel, you just kind of make sure that there's no crystallized sugar up there. Here's what I do. I get it all set to go. I take a clean one of these suckers and I just kind of scooch down the edges, kind of get it all in there. It's worked so far. Of course, I say that and watch what's going to happen today. Here's what's going to happen now. I am going to put these in the microwave for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm going to very carefully, using hot pads, take it out. Do that process again. That's why I have all these over here. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to kind of slide them down with a new one, put it back in for another 3.5 minutes, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, it was in for 3.5 minutes on high on the microwave, and then it was, I took it out, I mixed it, I cleaned up the sides. Oh my God. You gotta be kidding. Did it really crystallize? It really did. I think we're gonna keep going, guys. Okay, so it was in the microwave 3.5 minutes. I took it out, I mixed it up, I put it back in for 3.5 minutes, you know, having scraped down the sides. Now we're gonna add about a teaspoon of vanilla, and be careful because this could splatter pretty good when you start to mix it. Science, people. I think that has something to do with the alcohol, but what do I know? Okay, still be super careful. This thing is hot. And we're gonna go ahead and, it does look a little bit grainy here, guys. I swear, I shouldn't have said a word about it because normally I get super smooth caramel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour it into really what would amount to like an 8x8 or so with parchment paper. What I did is I actually sprayed the pan with spray, then I put the parchment paper down so it would sort of stick. Now I'm gonna spray it again. I mean, it is sticky caramel after all. And then I'm going to pour it into my pan. My pan's probably too big, so it won't cover the whole thing. I'm gonna reserve some here for the second part of our, probably not enough there, but you just kind of smooth this out. It'll start to kind of harden up kind of right away. And then we're gonna let this sit. I'm gonna leave it out for a few minutes till it cools off a little bit, and then I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator. And then when it gets to the right consistency, we'll come back and cut it up, and I'll show you how I package it up, and it's super cute. Now, the other thing I did was I made these little teeny piles of pecans and almonds. I didn't have whole pecans. I only had pecan pieces. So, so I just kind of tried to make little piles. So I'm going to just take a little bit of the caramel, and what you want to do is cover it enough so that it drips down onto the paper so that it's kind of grabbing all of the nuts. Wow, all of the nuts underneath. So when you lift it up, you know, they'll kind of all be stuck to it, stuck to the caramel. You know, you've seen a turtle. You're not new. I did not reserve enough caramel, so I'm just going to do a few of each. And then I also melted a little bit of chocolate. Do not get me started on chocolate and dipping things in chocolate and melting chocolate. I mean, talk about a nightmare. Also, I let this get too hard before I started pouring it, so not a great idea. But we have a couple as an example. So I think you can see that. You just kind of, and then I've got some melted chocolate. Now, if you use chocolate chip, like if you melt chocolate chips in the microwave to use for dipping things or whatever, a lot of times that chocolate seizes up, right? Like it just doesn't become smooth and pretty. And that is because scientists say that chocolate chips, they put something in chocolate chips to make them hold their shape. And whatever that is, makes it not good for melting. These are, this is Trader Joe's chocolate chips. Well, actually, sorry, I take that back. This is Trader Joe's chocolate chunks, right? So they're not chips, they're like shards of chocolate, you know? And I think as a result, it melts pretty well. So I'm gonna put some chocolate on these suckers right here. And these are gonna cool. Did you know it was kind of like, I mean, I don't know, easy is the word, but this easy to just make turtles like on your own. And I mean, again, I do a lot of Easter candy around Easter, and this is one of the things that I make, and it's not that hard. I mean, this is it. This is the end of the story here. Obviously, you let these harden out in the refrigerator or on the countertop or whatever until they get nice and pretty. I should mention to you that the butter that I used in the caramel is unsalted butter. You can use salted to have a saltier caramel flavor, right? Like salted caramel. But because there's so few ingredients, the salt really comes through. So I used an unsalted version. I'm going to come back in a bit, and I'm going to show you how to wrap them up. Let me talk to you for a minute about what's happened since we last spoke. Firstly, I now remember why I don't wear this apron, which I had previously nicknamed the Uniboob. Like, what is happening? You guys, why didn't you say anything? Never again. Okay. And then also, the other thing is, yeah. Remember I was like talking about how like science screws things up all the time, and that this could get like real grainy and whatever. That's what happened. So I made another one. And I did that for two reasons, people. I did that. Number one, because, you know, people fail, things fail in the kitchen. And like how many times did like Little Miss Perfect on Food Network like edit out her, you know, failed rep? Probably not ever, because they're professionals. And I'm just like a hack in a kitchen. The point stands, okay? Then when I went to get it out of the refrigerator, I actually think it's fine. I do. The second reason that I made a second batch is because I wanted to take them with me someplace tomorrow to give to someone. So I didn't want to bring them a yucky version, but actually I think it's pretty good. So we're just going to go on to the next step, which is the sucky part. This is where you start enlisting people in your household, spouses, partners, children, whoever you can find. I am not very good at this part, because what you're going to do is slice them into whatever sort of shape you want to slice it into, to make them sort of bite-sized or whatever. And I'm like, I don't do straight lines. My husband's really good at that part, so he usually does this part for me. And he uses a knife. Maybe that's why I use this pizza cutter. These might be a little not yet ready, but we're gonna go with it. So basically, whatever shape, size you want to do, you kind of cut that into that shape or size. Okay. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. So originally what I would do is I'd get parchment paper, just rip it off, and I would kind of just make it into like a square kind of thing like this. And then I would just trim it a little bit more. I would wrap it, take the caramel, put it here, roll it up, twist the ends. Super cute, right? And you get a whole bowl of those, and they look like they were purchased at the store, and everybody's happy except for you because you spent 3 hours cutting and rolling this. I've been able to cut that back to 2 hours because I went on Amazon and I found these 6-inch wax paper squares, which are clearly meant for raw meat, but they really work well. They already come in these little squares, so that saves that whole part. Then when my husband cuts them, that saves that whole part. And then when my kids do something wrong, instead of taking away their electronics like a normal parent, I like make them like roll caramel or something as their consequence. I also kind of like these a little better because they're cheaper, so they're a little more see-through. So, boom. And if you're making just like a shorter one, which I often do make like a shorter, fatter version, I just sort of trim the edges. Cute, right? And they're delicious. So it is time consuming, I will say that. Well, I mean, not the making it part. That's easy. But I mean, the wrapping it and rolling it part, that's not fun. And I don't know what you're supposed to do with this. You can't really just like give that to somebody. I mean, you could. But yes. So yeah, it's again, fun little Easter treat. Homemade treat that you can give out at any holiday. I don't know why I'm still talking.